Welcome back everybody. As you all probably know by now, the Ocarina of Time Remake is real. And with this new game arises the opportunity for them to improve or even add stuff to the game. Things they couldn't do previous time. So I have a few things I want to highlight, starting with there's a good chance we can see or rather hear voice acting in this game, mostly because in the teaser the narrator is also voice acting, but also because of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are also voice acting. What brings me to my point. I don't think the whole game with every line of dialogue is voice acting, just the important cutscenes with Sheik, Impa, Zelda, etc. But the random dialogue is just text or maybe some sound occasionally, what might mean we get different voice actors for Zelda and Ganondorf. Or to keep it the same, but I think they're gonna wanna have a new cast since it's an entire other era in the Zelda timeline. With that said, I did enjoy Matt Mercer and Patricia Somerset in their roles, but it's time to hand over the torch. Ice arrows are completely optional in normal playthrough. I always get them, even though they're pretty useless. You can use them on Bongo Bongo to get a unique animation, where you freeze one of his hands and then the other hand tries to break him free. You can also use them on the blade traps to freeze them over, but other than that, useless. However, in Majora's Mask they really redeemed them. You can make ice blocks to platform on, similar to Kyonis in Breath of the Wild. But I actually hope the elemental arrows don't return at all. And I hope they do it how I'm gonna explain with the next one on the list. After every temple you clear as adult Link, you get from the sage a medallion. Even then the game says the sage added his powers to yours. But then the thing actually does nothing. Back as a kid I thought it just meant my damage with my sword has increased a bit every time, but that isn't the case. I would love to have the medallions do anything. For example, the Force Medallion acts as Roar's Wind. It does make fast travel points, but not this time only in dungeons, but everywhere. Just like the Travel Medallion did in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The Fire Medallion could work as a fire arrow, or maybe Dinge Fire. I rather see them as fire arrows, I think. The Water Medallion can act as ice arrows, nice and simple. The Shadow Medallion acts as Neru's Laugh, because after facing all those horrible and creepy creatures in the Shadow Temple, the power of love overwhelmed the dark. There is something nice and poetic in that, and if that doesn't work for you, then with the Shadow Medallion you can make Link invisible for 2 minutes or something. Nice for the stealth section what comes up after the Shadow Temple in Gerudo Fortress. Speaking of Gerudo, the next is the Spirit Medallion. At first I thought it could give you the ability to do a magic spin attack, but I think then you learn that way too late in the game. Same for the magic bar. Hell, you even need a magic bar for the Lens of Truth before this. So I think what I originally thought as a kid, it doubles your attack power, like the Power Tunic does in other games like Link's Awakening. That's what I could see what you do with the medallions, but if you paid close attention, you know I missed one. That's because I'm gonna talk about it right now. In the original and the 3DS remake, after pulling the Master Sword you just get the medallion, immediately. But I think it could be very fun to give it an entire new dungeon. But then where do we place it? You could say right after you pull the Master Sword, when you're just on your first trial. Problem is you have almost no usable items left, because almost all items obtained as Child Link are useless now, except for the bombs. So for puzzles there isn't much to do. Maybe you could do a small enemy gauntlet like in Ganon's castle, but a little bit more easy. First room a few big Skulltulas, then just like in the Donko's Cavern 2 lethal voices. After that maybe 1 or 2 stealth foes with some keys in the room as well. And in the final room, a totally new boss. Since it's the Temple of Light, we could see some sort of Grim Reaper character, like the Minimus Gomez, but a little bit bigger and more frightening. But I think it's more likely that they place it later in the game. right at the end after the Spirit Temple, as one final challenge laid before you by Sheik as soon as you meet her in the Temple of Time. She teleports you with the help of the Sacred Realm to another place called the Temple of Light. And it is a mix of all kinds of puzzles you did before, but all themed after light. Maybe even an opportunity to make use of the Mirror Shield finally. The boss could pretty much stay the same, as I mentioned earlier, or for some other option you could do a Sun God or Red Demon, inspired by Ra, since it's the Light Temple and all, maybe even a Phoenix of some kind. And you have to hookshot onto them, similar to how you defeat Argorok in Twilight Princess. And as Ra will give you the Light Medallion, they now act as the Light Arrows. Or maybe a sort of Din's Fire, but then with light, so that Zelda still can give Link the Light Arrows as it was. Something I rather want to not see are updated designs of the skull class. I have a huge fear of spiders. Some games are just unplayable for me because of that. So I don't need super realistic giant spider monsters. No thank you. Just keep them as they were designed in the original, only a bit modernized. But please Nintendo, please. You can make the Shadow Temple as creepy and terrifying as you want, but please leave the skull glass. My heart cannot take so much jump scares. Another thing they could add is Sheik segments, similar to Paper Mario's Peach segments. When you beat the dungeon, after that there is a brief gameplay section where you have to do an objective as Sheik. But the player also might give a hint where to go next. For example, after completing the Fire Temple you get a little section where you as Sheik have to save Princess Ruto from the ice, as she told Link later in the game, so it canonically also makes sense. Also, it deepens the mystery of who Sheik is for the first time players. Don't worry, I'm not gonna spoil it here for those who don't know yet. And if not that, at least a cutscene which shows what Sheik is up to every time you beat the dungeon. I wonder what they're gonna do with Sheik's voice though. After defeating certain dungeons, the world changes as well. Like after the Forest Temple there's no more monsters in Kokiri Forest. The fire ring above that mountain is gone after you beat the Fire Temple. But Zoro's domain always remains frozen over whatever you do. It never gets fixed, not in the original and not in the 3DS remake. So now is a good time to fix that. Just a little cutscene after you beat the dungeon, just like you see that Lake Hylia gets filled up again, that's all it takes. Maybe even while the Sheik segment of that dungeon is going on, like I mentioned earlier, you can unfreeze King Zora. You have to if you want the Zora tunic, however you can also still buy it at the Zora store if you melt the ice there, and buy it for 300 rupees, up to you. I always save King Zora, that's what I think what Link will do, the do-gooder of time. I mentioned this in a previous video, but how cool would it be that the death screen will be the explaining of the Fallen Hero timeline? Maybe a small cutscene plays every time you hit the game over, or just a screen like Ganon 1 in Zelda 2. I rather want a small cutscene where you see that Ganondorf is victorious, maybe a view of Link's body which slowly pans upward and you hear Ganondorf's iconic laugh over it. A cool idea, even though if they really go that route, they have to do it only when you're adult Link, because as child Link it doesn't make sense. Ganondorf from that point is still waiting for Link to gather the stones so he can sneak in the Secret Realm as well. So probably they only do that death screen of the Fallen Hero when Link is an adult if you want to make it sense. This is your official spoiler warning. If you are one of the few who never played Ocarina of Time and don't want the ending spoiled, then click off this video right now. You good? Good. After the defeat of Ganondorf, with his last bit of strength, he collapses his castle with Link and Zelda in it. so you have to be fast and make an escape. When all said and done, there seems to be peace at last. But with one more rumble, it's revealed that Ganondorf still is alive. And when tapped into the power of his Triforce piece, he transforms into Ganon. Till this point I don't want them to change anything, this is all perfect. But the thing is that the 3DS remake fucked up a bit from here. In the original N64 version, the battlefield is dark, and you can only see the silhouette of Ganon, with the occasional thunder strike while you can make out the whole design. It was very epic. It set the mood for a sick final fight. In the 3DS remake they lit up the whole place, so it doesn't feel as dark and creepy as before. This is a big letdown. I really hope they fix that in the upcoming remake. I also hope to stay faithful to the music in this fight. The music of this Ganon fight might be my favorite Zelda track ever. It's so fucking epic. It really makes you feel like you're having a final confrontation. The final battle, where the fate of Hyrule and the Triforce is decided. They can make it more modern and epic, but please stay faithful to the original track, Nintendo. To me it always seemed at some point in development that Triforce was supposed to be obtainable, but got axed for whatever reason. There is clearly an empty slot in the middle of all the stage medallions, so it seems to me it's supposed to be filled in when you obtain the Triforce eventually, but it never happened. It would be very cool if they put that into the remake, maybe in some post-game quest. It can even be non-canon post-game thingy, just like the Koroks are kind of in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I don't think Link went out of his way collecting all 900 Korok seeds before saving Zelda. Because of the dooming calamity who can pretty much awaken at any moment, doesn't seem like something what Link would do in my opinion. So in my head it's not canon that Link gets all Korok seeds. Maybe he did it after saving Zelda and defeating Calamity Ganon. I could see that, but how could they go about obtaining the Triforce in the post game? Maybe when you did absolutely everything, like side quests, item upgrades, and the gold Skulltulas, an ancient unknown voice speaks to you and teleports you to an unknown sacred looking place. For one final challenge for the hero, a remix of all the dungeons you did in your playthrough, like it was in Ganondorf's castle but way more in depth and lengthier. You need to use every single item you obtained, like bow and arrow, Megaton hammer, hookshot, so forth. And the boss of it could be some being, made by Hylia or the golden goddesses themselves, like some sort of final test for the hero of time, to see if he truly is worthy of the Triforce. Kind of how it was in the Wind Waker with Godan, but way more divine looking. Like you're fighting an actual god or goddess. If there was a dungeon item to be gotten, I could think of the clock, what kind of works the same way as status maybe. You can also use it on enemies to stun them for a bit. Maybe that's also the way to defeat the god boss I mentioned earlier. After defeating the creation of the goddess, you get access to the final room, where the full Triforce waits for Link. They could do it that it maybe does nothing, just like Hestu's gift, just bragging rights, but way cooler than a literal piece of shit. But if they want to, they can do it that each piece strengthens Link a bit. The Triforce piece of power doubles Link's power, obviously. The Triforce piece of wisdom doubles the defense. And the Triforce piece of courage gives Link an auto heal, like if you have a fairy on you. Little side note what I wanted to mention, I hope to bring back the boss rush mode, as they did in the 3DS remake. That will be very cool, especially if you have all the Triforce upgrades I just mentioned. A man can dream, right? And that was the final thing I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. What are you guys hoping for the Ocarina of Time remake? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you want to subscribe to me, you can do that. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!